Hello and welcome to the Home Assist podcast. My name is Phil, and usually about this time I would introduce Rohan, but he's decided to take a little bit of a holiday. So I'm joined by the man that needs no introduction. It is Frank. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for coming on.
Hello there. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Frank, thanks so much for being here. I think I checked the show notes on our website, episode 60, the last time you were here, 2019.
2019?
Yeah.
Oh.
December 2019, exactly 3 years, right?
Holy shit. Yeah, that's 3 years, yeah.
We talk all the time. It doesn't feel like it's been 3 years since we've had you on the podcast. I think we talk all the time on the creators calls. We've got you. I've just seen you on the State of the Open Home. Doing the live stream there.
It just freaking flies.
Yeah, like 3 years. I think we're talking all the time, and we've always had that little symmetry sort of relationship where we're reading your release notes. You are the creator of the release notes for us that we read in the beta period, and then you listen to the podcast and adjust your release notes. Sometimes you just decide to kill features that we've already talked about.
Sorry, mate.
That's fine. And then people go, "Oh, you talked about that on the episode." Oh, yeah. Next release, it'll come out.
We just removed it. Thank you.
That's the challenges of doing it in beta. Anyway, 2022.12 is here. Last release of 2022. We do need to pay some bills first. Are you prepared, Frank? Last time we had Rosemary on, she was another podcast host, and I said, "Hey, do you want to do the ad read?" Do you want to do a live read of the ad? I mean, you hear it all the time.
Yeah, I almost can do it by heart, actually. I think every time the show starts, it's that, right? But we talked about this before the show. So I actually made you a little clip of an experiment I did. No, I should. The thing is, if I'm going to mess this up big time, I'm pretty sure. And you think I should do it?
No. If you mess it up, it makes it better.
It makes it better.
Yeah.
And then just read it normally, or should I do like what I know?
With audio? I want the whole shebang. I want the audio. I want the full Frank experience, mate.
Okay, let's
I want you to seduce me with this, all right?
Paulus, if I mess this up, I'm sorry. So, word from our sponsor. Let me get the audio clip ready here. This is not good to work well. Okay, whatever. Let's do this. Are you ready?
We're ready.
All right. This episode is sponsored by Home Assistant Cloud by Nabokasa. Easily access your local Home Assistant instance remotely for just a small monthly fee that supports the Home Assistant and ESP Home projects. All the configuration is done via a small, simple and elegant user interface. So there's no fiddling around with those difficult router settings, things like SSL certificates, or any of the yambo. Yeah, nice. I missed it.
But it's fine. It's fine. I want to buy another house just so I can get another subscription.
I actually wanted to add go and activate your Home Assistant Cloud subscription today, but this sample is not long enough. But still,
no. I mean, this guy comes with his own mixer. He's got his own audio track behind him. Rohan, when he gets back from holidays, he's going to have to pick up his game. Otherwise, that's it.
Oh boy. Let's not do this stuff.
Yeah. All right. With a podcast and a live stream,
this is just. I should not do this live.
All right, cool. So 2022.12. I'm going to talk about stuff, and Frank is going to correct me when we get it wrong. Right here.
No, I will make mistakes too. So you know what the thing is? The releases nowadays, don't get me wrong, they are so big. No one within the project actually knows what changed. There's so many changes. There's no one that can grasp it all. Yep. So for me, as collecting the release notes, it's just going through everything that has been done that month, right? And even then I miss stuff. So yeah, even I don't know it all, probably. Pretty sure.
Well, let's test your knowledge then. We'll have a pop quiz at the end. there are a couple of headlines that have come out. So we did have the state of the open home, which you were a presenter on, which was amazing. There is a recording on YouTube. Go catch it if you didn't get to catch it live. It was 4 a.m. my time, so I didn't catch it live. But yeah, really, it was actually a professional setup. I quite liked it. There was a little bit of drone footage there. Fantastic. But the big thing that came out of that was 2023 is going to be the year of the voice.
Yes.
Wow.
The voice.
Yeah, the voice. What do you want to tell us about that, Frank? Like that you can give us as a podcast listener 5-minute.
So we've had those focuses for many years, right? So let's go back to all the beginning. That was shared love, right? That was at the time, like we did the first state of the union. It was called at the time.
That's right.
So that was the share the love was usually the thing, which when you came like share the love for Home Assistant, share your automations and share everything you have, right? And later it became making things easier because we wanted to bring stuff more into the UI. But as we started to doing that, things got a bit like sometimes not aligned. So last year we did streamlining. And all these things are still like a focus. Like it's not that we still want to make things easier and we still want to streamline and we still want to share the love for the Home Assistant, of course. But for this year, it's the year of the voice. And for this year, we're going to aim at, I should make a sample out of that. So for this year, we should just aim at making voice integrations better because, they are all cloud-based, most of them. Right, and what's available local is often difficult to set up and hard to integrate. We brought Mike on board and with Nabukasa to work on this. And we're going to look at how we can make voice in Home Assistant better and preferably local in some way.
Because I think it's going to be, I remember there was Snips that was a local AI assistant that then got bought out by Sonos.
Yeah.
So I guess, now that sort of has left the IoT smart home space, needing something to fill that gap, right? So, that makes a ton of sense. And like Nabukasa has just sponsored so much stuff, from ZWebJS to SP Home to now BT Home and everything, right? Like it's
but this is part of the open home, right? We want to have an open home. That's what we're all in for. It's not just Home Assistant, but the ecosystem around it is important too. Because ZWaveJS is a great example. Because ZWaveJS is like a separate project and it's open source and it's like there and it's used by other home automation systems too. So if they fix something and make something improvements to ZWaveJS, Home Assistant will benefit from that as well, right?
Decons, they get that immediately.
Yeah, right? And the other way around too. So in the end, like it's just building the open home. Like we want, like the only way open source work is if we share the love, right? And that's part of it. It's just part of the core value. It's not just Home Assistant, it's the ecosystem around it that just needs to be better and we should share.
Absolutely. Well, I'm very excited to see where this goes. I think, let's talk about languages, like from around the world, like on the Creators Call the other day. I think it's going to be a big task and it'll be very good for the ecosystem and for Home Assistant, I think. So,
yeah, I believe one of the first things that's going to happen is like how we can make conversations better from within Home Assistant with the system. And there's how we're going to do things like different languages. That's a focus. Like there has been talk about how we can get ambassadors to like contribute voices and such. But at this point, it's mostly just planning, right? What are our MVPs? What is important first, and how are we going to like attack this? So this is mainly something that Mike is working on right now, and Paul is too, I believe. So let's just see how this goes. The year hasn't started yet.
That's it. Well, right. Hopefully we'll get Mike on next year as well, and we can touch base with him and see
you should.
Where his plans. Yeah, that's the plan. What else came out? So we had the creators call the other day with yourself, and
Yeah.
we'll see if it comes in this release. But Home Assistant is going to talk Matter.
I can say it is in.
It is in. It made it.
Yes, as of a couple of hours. Yes, it made
it. Nice. So
yeah.
I think it's just there's no Matter devices on the market right now that you can purchase, but Home Assistant has released Matter. Like,
look at this. We have Matter support. You cannot buy devices to use it, but we have it.
There. We support 100% of devices because nothing on the market.
Everything works, right? Yeah. So the thing with Matter this release is we're adding Matter, which is a big thing. It's obviously the biggest thing this release because Matter has been talked about a lot for a long time right now, right? But it is a developer preview. That's probably maybe not like how they want me to say it or something. I don't know, but I would like classify it as a developer preview simply because you cannot get any devices right now, right? But it's important for us to ship it because, well, now people can join in the development, can join in the early testing, can join in. Maybe you can create your own Matter device like we did in a workshop at the time. You can now try it out and maybe help with the Home Assistant development too. So this is opening up doors. And we know a lot of people that are working on Matter standards in the ecosystem for other companies also use Home Assistant. So hopefully, like, those are people that are start testing and join in. In general, this is just a big step forward. We are one of the first that are now publicly dumping Matter in support.
Yeah.
Making it available, right?
So in terms of the Matter protocol, is that now finalized? Is there a risk that because you've shipped so early that there could be a change and whatever you've shipped needs an update? Or is it this is it, it's finalized?
It is finalized. It's version 1.0 right now, right? So that's what's in there. But yeah, support could be improved, right? Like there's a protocol, and that's how Home Assistant interprets it, and that could be improved, right? We could improve how devices are. I believe right now it's light, maybe switch, but maybe there are things like events, fans, or I'm not sure what Matter 1.0 actually supports all. I believe like things like robot vacuums cannot be supported yet. But yeah, there's a lot in Matters 1.0 that Home Assistant needs to support with Matter, not Matter itself. And that's the base we're going to build on now.
That's good.
The foundation is there. The communication is there.
I think this is going to be similar to like HomeKit. It's going to be one of those protocols in Home Assistant that can really open up doors to things, right? Like you can get, if you've got a device that talks HomeKit, then it can talk Home Assistant.
Yeah.
Right. And I think Matter's just going to be on the same level. It's amazing.
Yeah, there are a lot of those devices out there that just don't have support, right? Especially if you go like, I don't know, if you go to AliExpress, you can buy a lot. And then the question is, does it work? I think especially Matter would be helpful with that in the future. Like if you buy like some random device somewhere random in the world, you have no idea if it works. But if it works with Matter, then the goal is it should work with Home Assistant.
Yeah.
And probably like an integration like the Philips Hue integration will probably work better with you than if you connect via Matter to you. That sounds weird. But yeah. That will probably, the integration will work better because there are just more features in there. But still, if you buy like one of those random devices, as long as it will have the Matter logo in the future, yeah, that will work. So that's great.
Yeah. Great. All right. Let's get on to the meat of the stuff. Shelly devices, which are now ESP based, can now forward Bluetooth connections. So last, was it in the November release? They released the Bluetooth proxy for ESP Home. So now you've got all your Shelly devices that are based on ESP based firmware can now, I think it's from firmware 12 and above. And they'll do BLE advertisements only. But yeah, I think Bluetooth it's just gone crazy. Like since these proxies, like every toothbrushes and
If you look at our public analytics, actually, that public analytics of Home Assistant, you will see that the Home Assistant August release was one of the most quickly install the most popular releases this year, and that's the release where all the Bluetooth stuff started and drop in. I believe this one is September and November. Indeed, the proxies came in and made get more spread out to the home, which is really great with those little ESP devices. But now having Shelly devices in here, this is advertisement only. So this is only with BLE devices. So one of those, I don't know if you have, no, this is Zigbee actually, so this is not okay. But if you have one of those plant sensors or temperature sensors laying around,
they just broadcast out and
that broadcast indeed. Yeah. Then those Shelly devices will be able to pick them up. And this works with every second gen Shelly device that has the 0.12 firmware. I believe that firmware is even beta at this point, so you have to specifically install it on your device. But yeah, it's great that it's dropping.
Yeah.
Just extends the range. Next one is on the list for the release notes, which I really like because it's visual. I always try to make release notes a bit of visual and non-visual, mix it together. But this one is the tile cards, which were released last release. And how many people say it's the mushroom cards or something?
Yeah, it's very similar.
It's very similar, right? I always say it looks like mushrooms. It smells like a mushroom. It tastes like a mushroom, but it is a mushroom. It's the tile card. And this release, it gets features, and not just features as in sense of more features, but it's a feature called features. And features are additional things you can add to one of those cards. So you could now add controls, for example, a vacuum cleaner. So if you have a vacuum cleaner entity, which you put in the tile card, you can add controls for the vacuum cleaner and a slider for your light or controls for your cover. So that looks really slick. It's nice and compact. So that's features.
I also like the colors. I think that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Not only because the colors are everywhere. So if you don't use the tile card, there are now each state is attributed to a certain color. So a locked door will always be green, for example. And I think, what was I looking at before? I think my air conditioner turned from cooling to off and it went to a yellow state in my history, even though I don't use the tile card. So yeah, bringing the color around everywhere, making it consistent. It's just one of those subtle changes that I really like. It just, I don't know, it lifts the whole UI somehow. I don't know why, but just seeing that little,
I like that sprinkle of color in general. It has been added to multiple places over the years, right? The settings menu, for example, this year, color dropped in there, and it just makes it recognizable over time. And for now, having recognizable state colors, I think that helps with the recognizability of a state in the future, and also looks just I don't know, colorful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's always the same color, right? So if you had the state graphs in the past and you looked at those, those were random, those colors. So it could be different every time. And right now it's based on the state it was. So they look consistent too. And that same color has been added to the logbook, by the way. I like that. There's now a little color indication in the logbook too. So yeah. Colorful.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just sprinkled everywhere, right? It makes it nice.
Like a little Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Something that's popped up very randomly, country and language support. I mean, we've always had languages in Home Assistant. There's been a big focus on getting Home Assistant translated into so many languages, all from the open source community.
Wow. So talking about the community, that's all community provided, right? That's just insanely good. That's crazy.
That's a project in itself, right?
It's large and it's busy and there's so much going on there. It's amazing to see.
Yeah. So country is now supported. So one of the reasons it's being brought in, so the Matter protocol, for whatever reason, does require that the system, the controller, specifies which country is belonging to, probably for some regulatory compliance.
Isn't that Wi-Fi compliance, based on the channels?
Yeah, I'm guessing so. Yeah, because depending on what region you're in, it depends what Wi-Fi frequency you can use, and Zigbee does use a similar frequency to Wi-Fi. So I have an assumption here that it would be for that reason. So when you upgrade to 2022.12, there will be a repair that will come up in Home Assistant telling you that I believe the country has not been set. Just go in, set your country. That will also have an effect. No, it doesn't have an effect on other settings at the time, but I think there are plans in the future to sort of derive languages, units of measurement, all that would seem okay.
So this release just asks country and language. Country will ask for indeed, and language will automatically be imported from the owner account setting. Like if you are the owner and you have set it to, I don't know, Dutch, then it will be Dutch.
Yeah.
But it doesn't use it at this point. Like these are just the main configuration options that are added right now, so everybody can start adding it in and like configure those. But for the future, we can do things with this, like indeed matter, but also indeed the units of measurement, or maybe far-fetched future, but things like notifications that are sent to your phone actually being localized.
Even things like suggesting what integrations should come pre-installed, right? Like, why should the default weather service be somewhere in Norway when we know you're in the US and AccuWeather might be better for you or something like that?
Yeah, maybe. There are tons of possibilities with that. So I think this is a great solid base to add. Like it's so basic information that can be used and to improve many things. Like in Canada, I believe they have a different unit for wind speed in general than other countries. Like would be cool if it knows like you're in Canada. So let's just use a different default.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So yeah, cool small addition.
Now the text entity. I don't even want to try and explain why this one is needed. Please, you gave it like. Why? We already have the input text helper. Why do we need a new text entity?
Well, that's exactly what it is, right? We have an input text helper. So we have a new entity as of this release, which is the text entity, which really is just text. But its family or little brother or nephew or maybe even its parent now, if you look at code, but of the input text entity, which is mostly known as the text helper, the text input helper. It goes by different names. But the thing with helpers is something you create, right? You need an additional helper to use in automations and could create an input text or an input boolean or an input switch or things like that. But those are not like integrations can use. So it's not like the Philips Hue integration can create helpers for you. It can create entities. So there's a gap there. We don't have a way for integrations to create something similar as an input text helper. So that's what it is. It's the entity version of the input text helper. So we can now have text entities. And I believe this now is able to be used by KNX and MQTT. Both got in, I believe. And KNX has those little displays, a little bit like those Sonoff displays, I believe. You can put in rooms. And there's a textual thing on it. So you could create an entity that allows you to change the text on those. And you can use it then in automations again.
So previously, like if you wanted to do that, I'm imagining you would have to create an input text helper, set up an automation that when that text is updated, then it would fire the automation to update the KNX. Now, the KNX integration can do that like out of the box without needing to do all
something like that. Yeah, KNX is like a protocol, so you have to define it manually, just like MQTT. But yes, that's basically what it does. Yes.
Yeah, gotcha. Wow. All right, I like it.
I don't expect to show it up everywhere, by the way. It's just one of those little things that's just missing and could help.
How many? I don't see many integrations needing their own text entity.
No, probably not.
This is one that I think came from What the Heck, and just judging by the people running the beta, using that we're about to create their own template sensors to do this, is the ability to combine the state of several sensors, and you can either sum them. I think there's is it just summing? There was no subtraction at this stage, but it was definitely summing multiple sensors together. So if you have two energy sensors that you need to get a combined value of, you no longer need to create a template to pull that into one nice sensor. You can now do it all in the UI.
That's just cool, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you want to add two sensors together, like sum them up, then you would have to create a template entity, which is just like, why? So we can now do this. Like, this is cool. You can just like add one, select two entities, and then it will create a new entity that's the sum of those.
Brilliant. I wonder how it will go with different units of measurement. Like someone's trying to add a watt and a kilowatt hour together.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's smart enough to know.
No.
It's not going to work. Not smart enough.
No. Right now, no. Right now, it will just add those values.
Or
It would be cool if that was smarter. But I still think there's always place for template entities, right? Like if you do want to do more complex things, then sure, then there's no way we can make every mathematical like complete equation possible. That's not it. But for just basic things, that this will work. Yeah. For me, I made a screenshot for the release notes. I believe I have I have an electricity meter that has two tariffs. So I got essentially 2 meter values. And the only way to get a total is to add them up. And yeah, that previously would needed templates, which is just weird.
I mean, it's weird you've got 2 electricity tariffs, I guess, but
yeah, we have like a weekend and day-night tariff. So the night and weekend is like low, and during the day is high tariff.
Fair. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I guess I have the same thing. I don't. Yeah. I just have it all. My energy consumption is through a rainforest, and I'm using an API of an electricity company to give me the price. So, yeah,
right.
I guess it's a little bit easier for me. But I think the next one, Paulus is really excited for the pet feeder.
I want that thing too, by the way.
So yeah, supports the Aquara C1 pet feeder with Fired ZHA now. I've got a little note here. You can combine it with the litter robot integration in Home Assistant and completely automate your pets. Actually, I've just seen your note. What is this? If it feeds your pet, it doesn't feed off it.
Yeah, just to be clear, somebody asked, like, how does it work? Well, it will feed your cat. Or
okay, does it feed off you? Love it.
Right, but yeah, you can automate your pets. No, but it's kind of like I don't know. It's like I would like to get my hands on one. I tried the other day; they're sold out almost everywhere. But I could order maybe on AliExpress or some other faraway site. But yeah, it's just cool that it's added. These are the things that is just beautiful. Somebody just like reverse engineered that thing, and it's got added. Like this is, you cannot like plan this or whatever. This is one of the great things of the community.
I was going to say, beauty of open source, right?
Yes, this is the beauty. Exactly that. The fact that we're talking about a pet feeder is just wow.
And that you can automate it, right?
Yeah. And your pet too.
Yeah. Slack has a do not disturb sensor you can now automate on. Always appreciate a good Slack integration. And for those that are using Picnic, is that a Dutch company? I'm assuming it's Dutch somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, when I saw this in the release, I was like, yes, I want to add items to my grocery order. Yes, like, Picnic. And then it's not in English. I'm like, excellent.
Yeah, I actually use it from time to time, like the Picnic service. There are a couple of year out here. So sometimes it's just nice to get it delivered at the doorstep. Nowadays, I go to the store more, but during the Corona period, this was like super cool, super helpful. But yeah, it's cool that you can just like add something. I believe, was it you, Phil? Was it Rohan that had the dishwasher tabs automation?
Yeah, I
blog
did
post
that through,
at the time.
Yeah, through Grocery. Every time like Home Assistant detects that the dishwasher's being used, it goes in and detects a dishwasher tablet being used.
Yeah,
that's the level I want to get
using a service
to, right?
Right, but using a service as this, yeah, like you could just say, well, you use X tabs at so many times, right? So I have to like place dishwasher tabs into your basket for the next delivery, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, so that's hopefully my future. Like scan a barcode on Grocery, and another one just arrives, right? Like
yeah,
That's
things like that.
The dream
would be cool.
All right. The scrape sensor can now be configured via the UI. So previously, so the scrape sensor, very powerful sensor if you know how to use it. I say that just because I was actually, and this is a good timing for me, I was about to set up a scrape sensor. So we have water quality levels for local beaches reported on the website. So I thought, great. We just had some rain. The beach quality, the water at the beach wasn't that great. So I thought, great. I'll add that to Home Assistant so we can get a warning saying before we go down to the beach, the water's not that great. Don't go swimming today. And then I saw this was in the US. So fantastic. I am allegedly a web developer by trade. I've done my inspect element, done the whole CSS selectors. Still unsure how the scrape sensor works. It's still an unknown value. But I've seen people out there using the scrape sensor. I think, Frank, we were talking about this. It is just because it's in the UI doesn't necessarily mean it's more user friendly or easy for anyone to just pick up.
I think it's great. It got to the UI. Like instead of YAML, you could just go into the UI and add a scrape sensor. But still, you have to scrape a website, so you still have to know how CSS selectors work and things like that. So it will ask you a lot of questions. So does it make scraping itself easier? No. But you can do it in the UI. You can tweak it easily, right? So if once you have like it done and working, like making little tweaks can be done through the UI as well. But the basic concept of scraping is still difficult.
One question, and maybe a controversial question, but there's something that I was thinking of. So we've seen a lot of integrations removed from Home Assistant because of web scraping. It's not permitted. Is scrape the only exception to that rule?
Yes.
This isn't technically scraping.
Yes, it's scraping. And yes, it's the exception of the rule. It's even documented in that rule as we designed it at the time. ADR4, it's actually, I know it by heart because it's happened to so many times, right? ADR4 is the architectural decision record that we have on it. It's one of the older ones to get those out, because in general they just break easy. Like an interface changes, a layout changes, and they fall over again. So it's just not reliable in many cases. So we just ban them in general. But if you want to define your own, that's up to you. We don't want to block that. And you can still get a lot of custom integrations as well that use scraping. That's fine too. Yes, we don't forbid it, but we're not maintaining those in core. That's the difference.
Yeah, 100%. So there's a massive new integration in this release, and that is local calendar support.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, this is the evolution to the scheduler that we had a couple of releases ago now. Amazing.
This has been like a request, like scheduling, calendaring, all these things. Like they are generally called in one breath, right? But it's not, in my opinion, it's not the same things. Calendars are hard. They are really, really hard to build. Especially Paul has a lot of experience with working with the specifications on that from history. But it's hard. There's so many permutation, like repeating events and when they end and when they start and how often they repeat. And then there's this little bits and pieces that are different in different providers.
Yeah, that's before you get to all like the nice Google Calendar acceptance, client messages, and
we're not talking about UI. This is just like, and then you have to build a UI around it. So that's hard. So a couple of releases back, we tried to solve that partially by adding the scheduler. And we still think the schedule helper it's nice to create a quick, like repeating schedule for a week, and you want to automate on it. That's still a great thing. It's a little helper that can be used for anything. But if you're talking about like real calendar, like a real big schedule with really advanced stuff, well, that's now available local. And that's just amazing. And a big shout out to Alan for just building out the whole RFC specification around it. And just like, he just went all in.
Yeah.
It's
I love it. Like, it's just, need a calendar? Here you go. Here's a calendar. Like,
use a calendar.
Oh, it might be that, right? Like, wow.
Yes, and it's not like just like a date with the time and done. It's like full blown with like recurring events and all day events and repeating weekly, bi-weekly, how many repeats and repeat interval and when it ends after 13 repeats or a certain date, or it is amazing what he did there. The cool thing though, it's all built on top of the already existing calendar entity we had. So that has been extended.
I was going to say, because most of this stuff that I would need, like bi-weekly, weekly events are done via Google Calendar that comes in from the web.
Yeah.
But if it's then not having to need another like calendar integration, like that makes automations easy to do because it's all the same logic behind it.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. So all the existing calendar triggers and such that have been introduced lately all work with this.
Amazing.
Which is just cool. There's one of the first things I'm going to do. I think I'm going to add like a birthday calendar, and then just add birthdays in it for everybody I know, like, and make Home Assistant aware and notify on it.
That's actually so I have birthday automation set up for my wife and daughter, but it is all template driven, right? Every day at 3 a.m., the Home Assistant has to check, is today a birthday?
No.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I'm going to do it like this. I think that would be great. Just a yearly repeating event for and just a dedicated calendar entity for birthday. So I will get calendar.birthday and automate with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would probably be the first thing I'm going to create when I start playing with this.
Yeah, I think that's going to be my next protocol. Just bam, birthdays, done.
Yeah. There's no import-export yet, by the way. I hope that will land. Like I would love to get that birthday calendar and then back into my Google one.
Or vice versa. Good luck trying to import though.
Oh yeah.
That sounds like a pain in the ass to have to build.
Oh, you never know what Alan comes up with.
He's already
built this too.
I was like, oh, you want to import too? Oh, here you go. I'll just throw it in.
Here you go. Yeah. I did see, and it didn't land this release. I'm not sure if it will be sneaked in, but I don't think so because it's a new feature. I did already see a PR from him, which was merged today, so that's too late for a beta cut, that adds these same features to the Google Calendar integration. So that means if you have the Google Calendar in Home Assistant, you can go in Home Assistant to change or add events to Google Calendar, if I understood it right.
If what if you speaking is true, that is a game changer.
That's a major spoiler alert, by the way, for next release, probably.
Alan's like, I'll just put this idea out there, and it doesn't come through.
It's just great. This is great. Having a local calendar has been requested for a long time, and this gives you advanced scheduling capabilities as well. I think this is cool. I think this is one of the bigger things this release. This is actually one of the Christmas gifts that this release too, because, well, like Matter is big and a Matter topic is huge, but you cannot buy Matter devices. So that's kind of disappointing, right? But this...
You can use a calendar today.
You can use the calendar today and do a lot of having a lot of fun with automations this Christmas.
Yeah. Actually, another Christmas-themed integration. I put in the new integrations, but I don't know if it is a new integration or if it's just an upgrade.
No, it's existing, but it's upgraded.
Oh, no, you've got them.
Today, actually. It was delivered this morning.
I've actually just come out from tonight. We just set up our Christmas tree, and I actually put a Zigbee smart switch on my old Christmas tree lights, and my wife goes, maybe next year we can buy some new Christmas lights. And I was like, I know exactly what I'm buying then. And it is Twinkly. Upgrade. I actually didn't know this existed until I saw this in the show notes, because Home Assistant is my shopping list.
I cannot tell you how good they are or not, by the way. I've never used them. Like, it's still in the box, as you can see or hear on the stream. But the box looks fantastic. Yes.
Yeah, box looks fantastic. I hope it's as good as the pack shop.
Right. No, but the Twinkly integration now can have like you can now control the effects of your Christmas tree if you have twinkly lights in them, which is right in time for Christmas. So yeah. So I was writing those release notes and I was like, I'm going to order a pair. So there they are.
they're actually writing the release notes. Like you must have a similar problem to me. Like you would see something in the release notes and go, "That's really cool," and then you go down the rabbit hole of, okay, it's on AliExpress, it's on Amazon. Oh, yes, that price. Do I just buy it, like, and test it out, or what? Like, yeah,
it's kind of fun too. Like it's part of the hobby to be exploring it, right? And to test it out and to get an opinion on it. Like I don't know, just feels good. It's fun.
It does. There are a few breaking changes, of course. MQTT YAML, the older main configuration is now managed in the user interface. So the things like server settings, a lot of stuff always moving over from YAML into the UI. And the platform configuration of entities in YAML, so an MQTT entry under the sensor domain, has now been removed. And I think there's been, 6 months of warnings? And repairs. If you haven't got the message now,
deprecated. Well, that's it, right? This one has been deprecated for 6 months. This is longer than usual.
Usually it's only 2 months, right?
Yes,
two
releases. 2 release cycle. Yeah, 2 release cycles is the normal deprecation period. But MQTT is just, the usage is huge, and it's not like. But in the end, 6 months is generous, and we've warned a lot, including repairs. It's time to go.
And one that we were both discussing, and you were actually considering removing from the release notes, was the media player groups. There is, I'm sure there's one person out there that is going to run into this issue.
Mention it. Go on.
Media player groups containing players that provide an invalid media player entity state will now report an unknown group state. So if you have one media player that decides to go, I'm guessing
fishing,
fishing, great. For whatever reason, it just reports an unknown state. Maybe you've got a custom hacks integration that's playing a bit of Russian roulette with us today. The media player group will now go into an unknown state instead of playing, paused, idle. I'm sure there's got to be some obviously it was a bug. How did this bug get discovered, or how did this issue get raised?
Now, this has to do with, besides all new features and everything you read every time in the release notes, there's a lot of work being done at standardizing everything we have and making code quality insurances in place, and like making sure Home Assistant gets more stable and predictable and everything, all those kind of things. There's tons of work going into that. So one of the things that has been done this release by EPNet is he has been standardizing the states a media player can have. This was already always documented, but not enforced. So now code-wise, we started enforcing the states a media player could have. So just for quality insurance. And as it turned out, there was some integration violating that and causing problems, but also had effects on groups. So just part of all these standardizations, these are things that you run into. Like, hey, it is possible for a media player to have a different state. Like, does a media player do that? And so what does it do? And what does it mean? Because if you automate on a media player and there's a state you've never heard of, that's just hard to automate on. Right? It's just surprisingly.
I think it's good. It also prevents, down the road, a developer, committing something, pushing code up, and then it introduces a bug in the future, right? Like just enforcing all these standards, even though it might not be a problem today, it may solve a problem tomorrow that may occur. So no, I definitely agree. There is a whole bunch of stabilization work that is needed and is appreciated, I think.
Yes, definitely.
Hikvision cameras. The video loss event has been removed. What is the popularity of the Hikvision integration? I assume it would be pretty high. I think everyone is on a Hikvision camera that I speak to, either Reolink or Hikvision. Anyway, the video loss event has been removed from the supported list. It's always been used as a keep alive for most devices, and the library did use it internally. If you leave it enabled, it actually causes everything to break if the event is actually processed. So kind of not what you want to happen. It's been removed from the integration just to avoid confusion.
Yeah. It's used by 0.7% of our community, by the way.
0.7.
That's not that extremely high, but still.
I thought it would have been higher. I'm surprised it's. I guess not every It's hard. Do you have in Nabukasa a breakdown of people that have like a camera integration or this type of integration would have?
No.
Like, do you go to that level? Is it something that you would think should be considered?
All data that we have on Home Assistant is just available on analytics.homeassistant.io. You can go there and view it yourself. So we don't have that breakdown. We do have a list of integrations there and how much the usage is. It's also shown in the documentation, but there's no extra available data or something. It's all public and open. And I guess somebody could go there and just like
if they wanted to
pick out, and then sum them all up.
Just imagine like one day I'm going to be reading a Verge article or something that can be referencing Home Assistant stats analytics or something.
Well, I do find them really helpful in general, by the way, to make decisions as well, right? Or to define focus. Like if I do this, which integration should I pick first? Like if I'm going to fix this or change this. So yeah, if there's a improvement we could make on a camera, then obviously looking at camera integrations is a thing to do. Like pick up the most popular one first. Like that's affecting the most people.
The Logitech Harmony Hub, the power off state of the select entity will be changed to power _off instead of power off.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm guessing this is the same vein, right? Like consistency?
No, this is not. Yes and no. This is one of the changes that if somebody will automate on this, they will not like this change. Like, why do you change this?
Oh yeah, I can see someone like having an automation, like when my TV turns off, goes into the power off state, then shut off the lights or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the reason we do this is because this is for the translation, because now it became a translation key. So now the state in the UI can be translated, and this now will then also work with the automation UI changes we made a couple of releases back, where you can just select a state and such, and they are translated into your language as well and such. So there's like a bigger thing going on. Like these are just like, we're out of place to begin with. So this is one of those fixes. It is breaking, but it's breaking because we want to straighten it out.
Yep. There's always method to the madness, right? Like it seems like an inconvenience and they're just adding an underscore, but no, it's like translation is a great example.
Forever we hit, like if you're hit, I'm sorry. Like sure, we try to avoid it, but this is not avoidable. Like you want to fix it.
Mobile apps. So if you are using a mobile app to scan a tag, like an NFC tag, the events fired when the mobile app scanned the tag had an incorrect device ID, and it's now being corrected. As a result, the events now contain a different but correct device ID. So if you're relying on the device ID in your automations, you might need to adjust those with the new device ID.
This is also a bug that has been fixed, has been under the radar for a time.
I'm surprised it's taken this long to discover.
Me too.
Glad it's fixed though. And if you're still hanging on to Google Hangouts or Google Chat, it's now been removed. So it relied on the Google Hangouts APIs, which have been shut down. So integration unusable.
We removed it because we think Google Chats obviously still exists, right? But the Hangouts API used the integration was called Google Hangouts before, and it changed name because Google changed name, but the Hangouts API that it used still existed, and that was shut down. And we think we're open to a Google Chat integration, by the way. If somebody wants to build it, you're listening and you're like, I'm going to build a Google Chat integration, please do. It's not like Google Chat is going away.
Yeah.
The integration is, however.
Yeah, bye-bye. So I guess that's 2022.12. So I have a couple of things for you. First of all, Eufygate. Can we call it Eufygate? Have you seen what's going on with Eufy? Can we talk about that? Like, Eufy's been one of those brands I've seen recommended all the time, and I think I haven't read too much. I've just seen everyone talking about it in the last 24 hours. What are they doing? Like uploading people's images to their cloud without permission? Or?
I've been considering Eufy for a long time. I'm not going to lie. I still have my homemade doorbell with the ESP Home, the article I wrote like a long time ago, and I really want like a camera doorbell. So my search has been going on for a long time, and my eyes have been on Eufy for a long time because it's like they advertise it as local, right? And military grade encryption local, and all kinds of other.
All the buzzwords, right?
All the buzzwords are there, right? Everything we as Home Assistant users like. But as it turns out, it might not be true. I guess.
Yeah. I don't like, yes. I think someone posted on Twitter that they've seen data being uploaded from their camera to Eufy servers.
Yeah, it's a security researcher, Paul Moore, I believe his name is. Paul something.
It's not a good look.
Got picked. Oh, well, he posted quite a bit of like claims there. And it got picked up by the LTTT community, the Linus Tech Tips community.
Yes.
It was in one of their shows, and they dropped Anchor, which is the main company behind Eufy, as their sponsor because of it. And some other people confirmed it. So this exploded really quick about they uploading images of events to their servers, including facial recognition. And those images were available even if you've deleted it or did not enable the cloud stuff. But Eufy claims it's for notification purposes, which kind of makes sense. But then some other things started happening, like you could open streams directly in VLC, which are RTMP streams, which are then unencrypted with guessable URLs or something. Then Rob from The Hookup did a video yesterday, I believe, on that's not fully true. Then The Verge did an article on, well, we got proof and we saw it and we've confirmed it and more technical details. So I'm not sure what's going on actually at this point. I think where smoke. No, well, I think where smoke is fire, right? So
absolutely.
Something is wrong.
Yeah, no, I think it's really like it just erodes trust, especially in a space of like IoT, right? Where people are putting devices in the security of their own home, where it's supposed to be a safe place, and then you see a company doing something like this. It sort of tarnishes everyone else's reputation as well.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure what. I would not buy it at this point myself, mainly because like this has been, I don't know. Maybe is it my trust? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't think Eufy actually did any like press releases on it or official statements at this point. So to me, all of them are speculations, but something must be going on. I don't know.
I think you're right. Like, where there's smoke, there's got to be some form of fire.
There must be something wrong. I think it's weird if you do not enable cloud, it still gets uploaded to the cloud. Make that clear. I think we all can agree on the fact that their big statements on their website, their marketing claims turned out to be not true. Like, that's a different thing to, like, is there a security issue? I don't know. Is this like violating GDPR? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. But are their marketing claims misleading? That I think they are. For me, they are.
And that then has, puts it a red mark against them for their trust, right? If they're going to tell you one thing in marketing and then it's actually not true, why should I trust you on all the other claims as well?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think watch this space, developing story. By the time this gets out, there'll be more information, but yeah, very disappointing. But okay, so Frank, as I said before, 2019 was the last time we spoke. You've since then joined Nabukasa.
Yeah, I did.
So that's been obviously great for you, great for Nabukasa. Like we've been talking about release notes back and forth for years now. I do want to ask you though, for this year, 2022 specifically, what would be your favorite integration?
Oh boy.
You can give me maybe a couple if you've got a couple, but what, if you just think, what's the new integration that has come out this year that you've just been like, yeah, I'm really impressed that we have that now?
I'm the most happy with the repairs feature, which is an integration.
Mm-hmm. That's on my list, yeah.
Yes, mainly because, well, we are now able to inform something is going on and how you need to change it and if you need to change it. We can target, like the Home Assistant system can tell you something about your system, and only when it detects something is wrong, right? So it's not like, if you might have noticed the breaking changes in the release now, it's got like way smaller nowadays. And that's not just because we got better at breaking changes, it's just because we're communicating things different now. We're using repairs a lot for deprecation notices, which were previously in the breaking changes, while they were not breaking changes at that point.
Well, you'd have to look in log files to see, okay, in 2 releases, I
things
can
like that.
update this YAML line and stuff like that.
Yeah. So Home Assistant now being able to detect things and just alert you like for it, and every time something is in the repair center, it's something you can like fix. You can do something about it. It's actionable and it's like relevant for your system as well, right? I think that's one of the most powerful features we added, in terms of like keeping everybody less frustrated, including myself, which I think is one of the best additions of this year. Yeah.
I think that and the media player. I'm pretty sure the media player was this year.
I'm now opening my notes because I like made a huge collection of everything we did this year for the State of the Open Home, of course.
Yeah. Or maybe we talked about it in January or something, but I'm pretty like there's been some massive work on the media player.
Yes, in March we did the select and play media action.
It. Yeah. Like just being like, I remember like when I first started doing like media on my Sonos, and you'd have to favorite the item in your Sonos app, and then you could, select it as a source. Now it's all a UI, nice UI. There's services that you can target. Like the Sonos favorites has now been revamped as well. There's been just so much love to media ever since like the Let's Get Loud event as well. So yeah, I think for me it's the media player.
Yeah, we also got the media player bar, I believe, was it this year? I'm not sure. And the media player browser got renamed to just media.
Yep.
At the time. That was cool too. And a lot of integrations got support for that as well. Like even like cameras, right? And your dashboard, you can now just like cast like directly from the media part or in an automation, which got really easy. I think, media is great.
Other little thing I really liked from this year is auto-completing entity IDs in YAML.
Yes, in the automation, like in the
templates, in this, like whenever, like even if you're doing like editing your dashboard, right, and you need to put in an entity ID somewhere, having autocomplete is just amazing. Saves so much time.
Yes, definitely. That's a great one too. And groups, by the way. I found groups one of the biggest things. That was almost a complete release.
Groups?
The release was even called groups, right? Yeah.
Groups still confuses me a little bit. I do appreciate the old style groups where I can put things in, then I can, loop over the items in there and do a count on things.
That loop has been fixed, by the way. That's also for new style groups now.
Oh, is it there? Fantastic.
Yeah, that was one of the feedback things. So I added that later.
Yeah, nice.
I believe I did.
Yeah, because groups is a whole thing now, right? It used to be just, here's a light group, here's a cover group. But now I think it's all a proper parent integration that you can then go out and define new entities with. What are you most excited for to see for Home Assistant or Nabukasa in 23?
Well, it's the year's voice, so that's exciting. That's for sure. But personally, I'm still excited for the little things. I'm always I love the little usability things like that just makes your life better every day. Like the big things and big like what are the big things coming? We often don't know as well, right? Like it is still an open source project. Sometimes somebody jumps up and creates something. This release, local calendar, is a great example. Like, hey, look at that. Somebody did the effort to like wow, right? But I don't know. I like the little things. For example, like if you look back at last year, if you now make an automation and you select want to make a trigger on a state of an entity, then it will try to give you like the possible state options now. There's now a drop down instead of having to enter a piece of text. You can now select from it. I think that was a little improvement that is like insanely big, actually. And right now, I know that I'm working on a little bit for next release for January, which we allow sensors to provide, for textual sensors, to provide like a list of possible states they can have. So that part of the UI will work better. So if you select Moon, for example, if you have the Moon integration, as of the January release, it will give you a list of different Moon states, translated and all. Yeah. And these are the little things that I like to see and do. So I'm looking forward to a lot of those, like little UX improvements. Well, there's obviously a lot coming from the new UI stuff, which I'm excited for too, by the way. That's big too for the coming year. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch the State of the Open Home. There's like a big presentation in there from Matthias. Mm-hmm. And Paul Bottenheim, who is the creator of Mushroom Cards, and Bram, uiteraard, also, or Bram Krachte, he's our front-end developer as well, who discussed the new UI that's coming, how it's going to look, like a conceptual thing.
The Figma. I think there is a Figma demo that you can access. Yes. And it does look pretty sexy, I must say. Like, yes. To have something out of the box looking that good.
Yes.
It does run the risk of people not having to upload so many screenshots of their dashboards to Reddit. I think that could be a problem.
Yeah, the shared love. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Like in the end, like it's not. The old stuff is still there, right? Like the old stuff. Hear me talking. Like it's still recent. But the existing UI is still there, will stay there, maybe improve. But yeah, I do think it's an improvement, but it is a concept UI. The thing that is shown there, it's a concept. And it helps like setting a feature, like where are we going? How are we getting there? We don't know. But the tile card is a great example of it. It's part of that. And I've seen a couple of things there, maybe landing in January or February, that's been being worked on right now. It just, it takes out the whole, I don't know, like the technical bit a bit more and makes it more sexy, friendly, elegant, things like that.
I think it's more refined, if that makes sense. Like it doesn't seem like it's developer focused anymore as it used to be. Yes, it's still technical, but now I feel more I have more confidence in it because I know it's not just spitting back jargon to me. It actually knows what it's doing. And
these are things that are happening all around the UI all day. Like this has been, we did like icons everywhere, like all sub menus and little menus now have little icons and coloring that are like a little bit standardized across Home Assistant. And so these are just so many little things you don't see and realize that are just like changing the way you like consume subconsciously the interface. That's the stuff I'm looking forward to. And otherwise, I'm just looking forward to see whatever else anyone brings into the project, because that's exciting, as always. Like, I'm wondering, like, this release has the pad feeder. I'm wondering what's next.
I always love the random integrations.
Yeah, right?
I think one of my favorite ones has been the smelly incense burners that you can automate.
The genies, right?
Yeah, no, the genies. Yeah, I think it is
the genies.
Yeah, I think they're called. Yeah, I think one of them is a genie. I think there's another one in there. Just random stuff like that. Also,
yes, that's great.
List, right? Because I need to.
I looked at it. Yeah, I can just buy it here in the store. They are sold here.
Nice.
But I don't know. The thing is, like, no, especially with Rituals Genie. Like I can just pick it up. We have a Ritual store here. Mm-hmm. They have sentence cartridges. So you have to buy those, and they're pretty expensive. So it's like, I don't know, some kind of vendor lock-in.
Absolutely.
And they're cloud as well. So it's a nice little gimmick, but
cloud was what threw me off. I'm like, cloud, nah.
But still, it's cool, right? I don't mind cloud in general if it works well, but I try to avoid it if I can. So I'm not sure if it works well or not in this case. But it's mostly the cartridges for me that like threw me off.
Yeah. All right. Now, for those that don't follow you on Twitter, I follow you on Twitter. I've seen. I think you're still streaming here and there, I'm guessing.
Nah, just we do the release parties now, right?
Yeah, of course. How is your war on energy going? Like, I've seen that I saw one tweet where you were measuring your base house energy consumption, and you've got it under a certain amount of watts.
Yes.
How's it going? And what do you like? What's your method for fighting this war?
It's going well. Actually, today is December. We're recording December the 2nd. Is the 2nd today?
It is the 3rd now for me, but it would be the 2nd for you.
Yes, it's the 2nd for me, indeed. So yesterday was the 1st. So I got a report from my energy supplier about last month, and I'm actually pretty happy with what I achieved at this point. So last year, November month, I've used 609 kilowatt hours of electricity. This does not include heating, by the way. So this is purely electricity usage. So 609 kilowatt hours. And last month, I've used 289.
Wow.
That's more than half it.
Yeah, easily.
Yes, which that's cool. That's just cool. And my gas usage dropped way too, but it's so warm. Started for winter here, so that's not fair to compare. But for electricity, I can. And the solar solar providing energy has been almost the same this month. So yeah, it's going well. It's mainly my base energy that I've been working on. So my base energy is basically, what if I go to bed and go to sleep and everything is off for my feeling? What am I still using at that point? That's what I consider my base energy level. Like, that's energy you're using that you just like always use, right?
Yeah. Don't want like your refrigerator on. Your servers are on. You're running home system.
Yeah, access points, whatever, right? Your alarm system, things like that. So I'm currently at 120 watts for the whole house during the night, which was over 400 watts. So
wow,
that getting that down, that in long term, that's just a lot. And like the fact that I'm just using 300 like kilowatt hours less, like on a year basis, that's 3,500 kilowatt hours.
Yep.
If this continues like this, that's just a lot. Like, not just for like the money. Sure, it will save me a lot of money, and energy is expensive right now here in the Netherlands. Like, I've paid 95 euro cents per kilowatt hour at this point. So that's like over 3,000 euro at this point, right? But even somebody said, yeah, but energy is so cheap here where I am. Like, we pay 10 cents. Well, that's cool, but it's still 350 euros you could have like saved yourself, right?
Absolutely.
So, but also for the environment, it's just less.
Which I think is a good end goal, right? Like, we always talk about like smart home and reducing energy costs, but then I think that is the side effect of, being able to reduce our energy so much is that it also helps the environment.
Yeah.
And we have a direct control over that.
Reduce your footprint. I think the addition of water is a great example of that. Mm-hmm. While water, like especially here in the Netherlands, in many countries, actually, it's free. In the Netherlands, is just super cheap. It's like almost not relevant. But still, being able to look at your water usage and do something about it, it's just better for the environment.
Yep.
But yes.
So what was your method for going around and reducing that? Like, was it just finding things and flicking them off at the PowerPoint? Did you have like maybe I should try one night with this turned off, and you're going around putting smart monitors on everything, trying to get a reading of what's actually high?
Yes, a lot. I do have one of those energy meters you can just get for a couple of bucks that just have a display and show how many watts something uses. And this one is calibrated, and well, it's just a simple thing. It's not smart. It has no Zigbee or Matter or whatever.
What's the point? Throw it away.
Yeah, it's just a dumb device nobody in our community generally would use. But the nice thing about it is you can just plug something in and read exactly how much it's using. And just going around the house and just find everything that has a plug and plug it in and check what it does makes you like very aware of what something uses.
Was there something that you were surprised at how much energy was actually costing you? Like you thought, oh, this won't be much, but I'll plug it in, and then you actually seen, oh, it's actually that much.
Sonos specifically.
Really interesting.
Yes. Sonos actually use a lot of energy in general. Like they're pretty low, but they're still like using like between 5 and 10 watts in standby, which is quite a lot.
Yeah.
If you have some of them, like if you have like 5 of them, that adds up really quick.
I do. Wow. Okay. That's good to know.
And so, for example, our multimedia in their living room, like where the TV and the Sonos Play bar is and things like that, I've now put in like a little wall plug.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like that. It monitors my power, but it also like can turn it off.
Kill the power to the play bar when the TV is not on, right? Like, it's not necessary.
Kill the TV itself too. Like it has standby power. And then you have like a receiver, which also draws a little bit. And they all like pretty efficient. But still, like the total adds up.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of places where I put in like power measuring where the measuring itself is interesting, but also costs power. Like, don't forget, every time you plug in one of those things, they will consume power too. And it's just 1 watt, but it's still, again, 1 watt. Well, it's 1.3 watts for the one I got. And the interesting thing about those were, if I actually turned them off, they consumed a watt less. And it's simply because it turns off the relay.
Of course.
So as long as it's powered on, it uses power to power the relay to keep open. And it's measuring the power itself, like the energy usage. And as soon as I turn it off, it will stop doing that. So one of the automations I have is like if the alarm gets armed, like all that stuff is not used. Like, I don't know, just kill them all. Yeah, why not? Like, just like don't monitor the power, whatever. Like it's not being used anyway. Kill the power. So these are little things. Like every time I try, at this point, I'm just in like, I want to get off another watt, just 1 watt. And it's just crazy actually. But yeah, that's where I'm right now. 121 watts for 128 watts for the whole house, including my Wi-Fi network still up, my switch is still up, my home assistant still running, my alarm system is a go. There's a little server running as well. And all refrigerators and stuff, everything is just like normal. And being able to reach that low base level, that helped me a lot, reducing energy, besides like turning off a light when you're not in a room. But getting the base level down.
And you can measure it, right? Like you've seen it on your electricity bill. And that's now turning into dollars in your pocket, thanks to before on energy.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I'm still continuing. I'm not done yet. I feel like I need to get below the 100.
I was going to say, do you have a goal in mind? Like,
yeah. I don't want to like go crazy as well, right? Like, but I feel like I already passed that point maybe a bit, but still. But it's nice to see it becomes a challenge, and that's cool.
And that becomes fun, right? When you make it a challenge and you can make it fun, then it's a win-win for everything.
Yeah. But now I got these little twinkly things, so I probably will like use a little bit more this Christmas, but that's okay.
That's okay. They'll go in a cupboard on January 1, so.
Right.
That's awesome. Well, it's definitely been an inspiration for me. I've started looking around at all my things that are plugged in and gone, oh, okay, it's probably got some phantom power there. Even like Philips Hue bulbs that are turned off, right? They've got the ZB radio powered on.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
It makes you think.
I have like I'm on camera. It's not much for a podcast to see, but if you look at like I I got like a whole bunch of Philips Hue here
Yep.
in my ceiling, but in the wall switch is right there, and I put like there's a little Shelly behind it.
Nice.
And I use that Shelly for two reasons. One, if Home Assistant is not working and responding, the switch will not work because of the lights, and you don't want to make it an old-fashioned switch because it will then kill the power from my Philips Hue, right?
Yeah, gotcha.
That doesn't work with Zigbee. So what it does now is, as long as Home Assistant is connected, it will set forward the switch to Home Assistant and automate on it and toggle the lights.
Nice.
But if it loses the connection with Home Assistant and it detects that in ESP Home, it will actually toggle the relay. And the lights are configured to turn on when power on.
Yes. I think that's the standard Philips Hue behavior.
Yes, exactly. So how this now works is that as soon as I have an issue or my Home Assistant is down, the light switch will work as normal.
Nice.
But if Home Assistant is running, the light switch will be controlled, and the lights will be controlled by Home Assistant. But it also allows me to kill the power to all the Philips Hue bulbs in the night.
When you leave.
Yes.
And then I'm guessing when you return, you can have an automation, turn the relay back on, and turn those lights back off.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, that's exactly how I do it. And I have a home alarm system, so that's the state I'm using to determine if somebody's home or asleep or awake.
Alarm control panel. Even if you don't have an alarm, I don't have an alarm, but I use the alarm control panel just for that very reason.
Yeah,
right? It's so easy.
Yep.
Someone, a guest comes over, you disarm that alarm panel, and automations kick in.
Yeah, definitely. The alarm get a panel. Like there are Zigbee panels too, right?
I think so. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to. I have a smart door lock, so I can actually automate when someone puts in a PIN code. I'm gonna know who entered the PIN code. So, yeah, I automate on that.
I still don't dare smart locks.
I
find them scary.
Scary for what reason?
Yeah, I don't know. It's smart on my lock, and I know somebody can just pick up a brick and throw it through a window. That's probably easier, right? Yeah. So like it doesn't matter that much, but still.
Well, this one just a Yale. It's Z-Wave, local, no internet. Only Home Assistant has control of it, so
that's good.
Yeah. All right. So confirming, there is going to be an episode for 2022.1. There is going to be a release for 2022. I know we commented last time, Frank. I think there was no release last year, and February and January was not a pleasant release for you. So there is going to be a release.
Yes, the code is going to be a January release. We skipped it last year indeed, and that caused the February release last year to be 2-month cycle, right? And with the speed the Home Assistant project is going at this point, that became almost impossible to release. As a matter of fact, the scripts we used to release at GitHub, and GitHub itself actually didn't allow us to release it because, well, it was just too much. The UI would just like give us a unicorn, like you cannot do this. Wow. So that became problematic. So this year we're doing a January release. No idea what's going to be in it. Like it's probably mainly small things, and of course everybody's going to enjoy the holidays too. But we're going to do and keeping the cycle at a month this time. Yeah.
Rohan and I will be back. We'll plan to have it as soon as possible. Obviously, busy period for everyone, and I'm sure Nabokasa guys will be having some time off over break as well. Now that you're in so many countries as well, coordinating a little Christmas party, I'm sure is going to be a virtual Christmas party for you all. Be a bit tricky.
Probably, yes. Yeah. Although the State of the Open Home was actually in real life, right? So we went to Utrecht and actually met a lot of people in Nabokasa, which was really cool. Like, for example, I've met Joachim for the first time, better known as Ludius from Hacks. Which is just weird. I've been talking to the guy for over 5 years now. Like, that's just cool.
Yeah. It's amazing how Home Assistant brings everyone together, right? Like, yeah.
What do you want to have for Christmas, by the way? What's your home automation wish for Christmas?
Home automation wish for Christmas.
Because we're getting close to that as well, right?
I know.
It's not a Christmas spirit in the Netherlands yet, but...
I don't know. Like, I'm just at the point now where I don't know what I want next. if Santa was coming to give me something, I'd have something. My wife would not approve. Not that.
Oh, boy.
I've tried to talk about it, but it's a robot lawnmower.
A robot lawnmower.
Yeah,
cool.
Like our grass in our backyard just grows so fast, and it's I need to get power out in the backyard. I just don't want to cut the grass anymore, right? Like, but the technology exists. I believe there is something that integrates with Home Assistant. Let's get it.
Yes, there are.
Right. I just don't. The thing that's holding me back is I had a vacuum cleaner, and it just pushed the dirt around.
You don't have anymore.
No, I don't have anymore because it just didn't cut the mustard, right? Like my wife would always say, like, what's the point? It gets stuck under the couch. It's just pushing the dirt around. I have a 2-year-old daughter that's constantly leaving cheese on the ground now. No robot vacuum cleaner is going to survive that. Maybe they've come along now. My fear is that a robot lawnmower will be similar. But yeah, that is my goal. Just automate the grass cutting.
The robot lawnmowers are great as soon as a dog has left his little turd on the grass and it goes over it. It's, by the way, hilarious to Google for. That's by the way absolutely something you should do. The same for vacuum cleaners, by the way. Like if a dog poops in the house and the vacuum cleaner goes over it, that's just amazing to look at.
I can imagine.
It's definitely worth a Google query. That's just amazing footage. So yeah, but a lawnmower, cool.
Yeah. What's your Christmas wish? Santa gives you any wish. What would you automate?
Well, it's not the grass, because if you look over my shoulder, I solved it by just cutting all the grass out and put tiles in it, like concrete everywhere, and be done with the garden. I'm not a gardener, so I honestly, I don't know. I've thought about it because I wanted to ask you this question, but I honestly don't know. So maybe it would be like good cameras and video doorbells that are local and have events and support standard protocols properly. And they don't exist at this point, I think.
And they don't send to the cloud, even though they've got military-grade security. And
yeah. Sorry, Eufy, but yeah.
I totally, cameras are something.
I think I have to ask Santa.
Yes, cameras are something that it's the same with the lawnmower, right? Like, I think they're cool. I would love, to use the Synology surveillance station and have a whole command center set up, and I can see when I'm out everything. But no, there's just that trust issue. There's the no good quality, they're expensive. There's
exactly that.
It's
good working local cameras and doorbells. Thank you, Santa.
Yeah,
invent them.
Yeah, if I could get rid of that ring subscription, that would be amazing.
That's but they work well, right? Like I hear they work well. That's right.
I mean, it ties well into the Amazon Echo ecosystem,
right?
But I do find it is still delayed. Like postman hits the doorbell. The time I get a notification in the office on my Echo that someone's at the door, postman's gone. Right? Like or the postie, as I should say in Aussie language. Postie's gone with my delivery back to the station, and I'm sad because my next IoT gadget I have to go and sign for.
Cameras is one of those things that are just hard in the automation world. Something similar would be the thermostats. Like buy a good working, local, fully controllable thermostat is just a challenge. I don't know why these two product categories are like that, but
yep, I have a Z-Wave thermostat from Remotech. Works great through Home Assistant. Try and use it on the wall. I don't know how the buttons work. I had someone out to replace the gas, and I actually had to use Home Assistant to turn the heating off and on because the control panel on the wall was so bad that I didn't know how to turn it off or on through the actual thing on the wall. But then you get something like a Nest, then it's got to be a Google Cloud and a whole other issues that come with that.
Nope.
Yeah. So no, I think thermostats. You're right. Like that needs to be cameras and thermostats. Yeah.
Please make them pretty nice, local, and fully controllable, standardized, and like pretty and usable. Dear Santa,
please. And I'll throw an extra one in air conditioning controllers. Like
we're dumping a lot of frustration now in the end of the podcast, right? But the $20 looks pretty.
I don't want to use like a Sensibo or a what's the other one? The Broadlink or an ESP home. I just want something pretty local to send IR signals. It's not going to get
becoming a theme. All that local stuff.
Yeah. I mean, technically, responsible. It
kind of makes sense.
Like you're part of Nabucas. You're the reason why you've given us the addiction of local control now, and everyone wants local.
I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is that companies keep like messing up.
Oh, absolutely.
It's bad for like in general, like, and so there with the cloud stuff. And again, I don't mind if it works well, and I know upfront, and I make the decision like to accept that it does, right? But there's so many companies that like messed up their whole cloud stuff that people are now just scared of it, which is kind of like they put that on themselves. But at the same time, there's so much local stuff around where everybody tries to reinvent the wheel and their own protocols and make it sometimes so difficult and hard to use. That's also weird. So like Zigbee and Z-Wave are cool, right? That helps a lot. But with the Zigbee world, then they try to invent their own styles of the Zigbee protocols, and then it's hard to integrate again. And then there's a special exception needed in the equipment that uses that Zigbee stuff, like Deep Pet Feeder. That's not something that just worked. Somebody had to reverse that Zigbee specification in order to make it work. Please. Any manufacturer is listening, come on, just make it local, use a standard, make it like well documented if you don't, and like embrace it, make it easy for everybody.
Please. Yeah, it just makes it easier for everyone, right? Like then people can be champions of your product and put it into home business without you needing to spend development resources, doing all the integrations, because you've made it open. Other people can do it for you.
Yeah. There are specs. Use them. Like they're often for free, right? Or at least document them and make it usable. I don't know. Dear Santa. Here we go.
Oh, I like it. All right. Well, yes. So we will be back 2022.1. 2023.1. We will be back. I've got to get used to saying that. Frank, thank you so much. Let's not leave it 3 years again.
No, let's not.
We'll see you on soon. But pleasure. Thank you as always.
Thank you. My pleasure as well. And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.